Now we're actually recording. Let me restart that then. Hey everyone, this is episode 387. This is the raw version of the show being recorded on May the 5th, 2020, and then we will clean it up and put it out as a regular podcast tomorrow. We're going to have a first-time guest today, IndianaJoe, and I think we're just about ready to go. Let me just make sure the stream looks right. It does. Excellent. And looks like Deck's already in chat. That's awesome. Arjar, Squishy Twitchy, good. All right, so yeah, looks like we're going properly this time. And okay, so I think we've established that we're all ready to go. So let me just have a little water, and I'll actually start the real show. Going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that is not the one who is going to kill them. This is episode 387, being recorded on Tuesday, May the 5th, 2020. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Dr SWTOR. Hey, Doc.
Oh, the irony, Chill, that the dying happens anyway. How are you doing today?
Yeah, it's all rough. We do have a first-time guest, so I'm very happy about that. IndianaJoe is here. Hey, IndianaJoe, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, yeah, and we kind of got a hold of you mostly on Twitter. You and Doc started to have a conversation about the Conquest and the new Conquest and the Conquest changes, and it sounds like you've been really invested in that. So tell us a little bit about like what you do in SWTOR and what has you going with the Conquest now.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, and secondly, mainly I just kind of like doing Conquest a lot. That's like my main thing. I've been playing this game since launch, so I actually got the beta invite, so that's how long I've been playing this game, so like
nice.
10 years basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and so last week, believe it or not, I didn't know the new Conquest changes were coming. For some reason, I just didn't know, and to go back, actually, 2 weeks ago, I got 3 million Conquest points off of one on one character. So
wow.
The original idea was there's one guy in my guild that wins the Conquest all the time, and I'm like, okay, I just want to beat this guy because I'm tired of losing every single time in our guild competition. So the original idea was, but then the new Conquest system came out. And I'm like, going points off doing X, Y, and Z. And then after that, through all the content, I'm like, let me see how many points I can get in a single week. And I ended up with 3 million. So
that is a lot.
I definitely learned a lot, and some cool tricks to speed up the process. Like, for example, today I got my 50,000 in 4 minutes. So,
whoa, okay.
Yeah.
So what did you do today?
Yeah.
How do you get 50,000 in 4 minutes?
Today I did, let's see. Well, I had it kind of planned out.
I was going to say, this probably involves some, like, crafting and stuff.
Let's see, I did the 5 missions real fast.
Okay.
I improved my crafting, so that was another 7,500, and then I sold junk.
Right.
Stronghold improvement, 5 decorations.
Yep, that one's a good one too.
A reputation real fast.
Nice.
And I think that covered it, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Amplifiers. I changed my amplifier.
Oh, cool. So if you re-roll an amplifier, you actually get that as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yes. I'll have to remember that.
We'll go over this later in the pod, but there's a bunch of very, very easy Conquest points to get for sure.
Yeah, I've actually been doing a little of that myself on my banking alt, because I never got her past 56, because that was where you can send out 6 people. And she's just been sitting in the in the stronghold ever since. But now she's actually gaining experience every day, and she's like close to 60 because we got the double XP and everything else. It really goes fast. Yeah, I like the one where you can send them out to sell trash items. I actually have a reason to mail trash items from my banking alt now.
That's so silly.
It's so
Oh my
dumb.
gosh.
But I have now in her little her personal bank, she has a bunch of like gray items. I pull out one, like I unstack one, put it in my inventory because you have to have something to sell or it won't count, and send them out, and they come back in 6 seconds because I went ahead and spent the 60,000 credits to get the speed going, and that's good. Yeah, it's really fast, and it can be done every day. It's really, it's at least now I mean, who knows? Maybe the Conquest. We haven't seen enough of the Conquest to know like what are they going to be changing every week necessarily. But this week it worked really well, and the decoration was really nice too. I tried different things like, you can actually what you can actually do is just take one deco and just like reapply it, like pull it off, put it on, put it off, pull it on, put it off. Do that 5 times, and that actually counts. So you don't have to like do 5 different things or add 5 to the stronghold. You can just boop, 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 and you're done. So yeah, so that's pretty awesome. But I'm not in the multi-million club on one character, that's for sure. Even with the new Conquest.
Yeah. One thing I found interesting though is like you'll get a thing that'll say mission for any planet. So let's just say Tython. Okay, so you got to do a mission, and if you do the bonus, like if you do a mission and then you do the bonus mission, that bonus mission will not only count for the bonus mission conquest points, but it'll also count to the mission for Tython. Right. So Tython, I'll mention this later, but Tython, you have very few. If you're like level 75, like I am, you have very few quests left on that planet, except for like a few exploratory missions and the one weekly heroic. So what I do usually is I do the bonus quest one day, and then I save the actual quest the next day, so it can count as 2
dailies,
essentially 2 dailies of the planet mission, right? So I use a lot.
You really do have this dialed in and figured out. That's awesome. What sort of what do you like to play in the game? I mean, do you solo? Do you do group content? Are you do with your guild? Are you PvPer?
Yeah, originally I was just Conquest and that's it. But then the new gearing system came out like last year, I think. October, was that when it came out?
Yeah.
And that's when I started to actually like get into in-game content. So I've been doing ops with my guild and master flashpoints. I'm not really into PvP, but that's just not my kind of thing. But besides that, just Conquest, soloing. I love the story, obviously. So yeah, just and just have fun and so that's pretty much it.
That's great. Yeah, we will go more into detail on the new Conquest a little later on in the show. But yeah, welcome to the show, and nice to have you on.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
All right, Doc, what have you been up to in the game?
Well, I've actually been doing a lot of SWTOR comparatively to like before the quarantine times.
Sure.
For my stream channel. I've also been streaming other games in the mornings that all kind of have a high degree of difficulty or RPG elements. But I've been doing probably 30-40% of my streams have been SWTOR, and that's been Master Mode Ops, Veteran Mode, Revan, and I've done the Jar Jar Joyride for 2 weeks in a row because it's a lot easier to make it right at the first minute of being off work when you're working from home.
Right.
So it's all just about time management at that point. And it's been a lot of fun to reconnect with some people that I haven't been able to play with for around a year. So that's been fun. We've done Eternity Vaults on both of those weeks, but for different reasons. And I just want to congratulate all of the people who were not on my Eternity Vault team for winning the credits. We did a race to see who could finish the op first. And I screwed my team up so bad because I actually have probably never done that op as a DPS. And so in my mind, I thought, okay, I take an assassin, I kill them in 5 seconds, and then we move on. except that put a healer on one of the Marauders, which is a bad matchup.
Oh,
and then we had an issue with trying to do the cheap shots to help. It caused one of them to go immortal. And so we had to wipe, and that gave the other team the opening to kill Soa and finish the op first. So every member on that team won 3 million credits.
Oh wow.
And
that's not
and
nothing.
it's all my fault. So half of Utini Guilds is very happy at my hubris, and then the other half is like, never put me on a team with Doc on a story mode operation ever again.
That sounds awesome.
So I've actually completed now 30 plus days of my new stream schedule, where I stream every morning before work hours start, unless I have clinical meetings that I'm doing with people, also via webcam. So if I'm not going to be a counselor in the morning, I'm going to stream games and talk about gaming psych as much as I can while I'm playing. And so that's now more than 30 days in, so we could call this a routine now, psychologically speaking. And that's been a lot of fun. And because of this, I've gotten a few more subscribers. That's unlocked an extra emote slot.
Excellent.
And I've added cheer badges to my channel, at least for the tiers that are activated on my cheer list. And I'm really excited about this. So the cheering will earn you posters from the Star Wars universe in sequence. So the more cheers you get, the closer you get to the end of the Skywalker saga.
Wow.
And the neat thing for me, back when you first met me, Chill, I lived in Florida. And in my apartment, there were two big walls. My living room was rectangular, right? So the two long walls. The left side was the 3 prequel theatrical posters, and the right side was the 3 original theatrical posters. So the posters also, I have the Steve Sansweet book that chronicles all the posters from Star Wars history through Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, nice.
And that is I kind of treat it like my Star Wars yearbook. So when I go to conventions and I'm going to meet a Star Wars actor, they sign that book. So
oh, cool.
All
That's
of my
smart.
Star Wars signatures are in that book.
That is really smart. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, but you know, that's a huge part of me. The posters are one of the biggest ways I connect with the saga, besides just watching them and quoting them during my counseling classes and all kinds of other things. So when I had that idea, I was thinking, what are my cheer badges going to be for my channel? And when that idea popped in my head, I instantly knew that's the right one. That's truly me. That's something about me that I can pass on to people who are excited to watch me play SWTOR and other Star Wars and RPG style games. And people have actually been using it. It makes me get super excited to see people unlock the Phantom Menace or the Attack of the Clones poster. And I don't know if anyone's climbed to the Revenge of the Sith categories yet, because it gets expensive. So
yeah.
I actually broke Revenge of the Sith into 3 categories for those posters, because there's 3 posters associated with that film that really mattered to me back in 2005. And so just a lot of Twitch stream fun. It's like a side job to really manage a Twitch channel. And
kind of is, yeah.
it really is. Like, you'll sit down to be like, oh, I can upload a new emote. And then when you see what it looks like when it's tiny, you hate it. And so then you open up Photoshop and you start tinkering, and then you turn all the greens purple and you ruined it. So you have to go back to what it looked like 15 minutes ago and do it all over again. And, well, no, not really. You can just go back and undo things. But it's been a lot of fun. And then the last thing that I accomplished is my May the 4th SWTOR stream. I switched out my regularly scheduled Monday game, and I played the final chapter on Master Mode of Knights of the Eternal Throne.
Ooh.
And I killed Valkorion.
Very
So
nice.
that means all the Kotfi and Kotet chapters have been completed by me on Master Mode, and I only needed to bring in a tank to assist me with 2 fights the entire story. That's the first question people ask you is, did you have help? And the answer is yes, 2 fights. My Lightning Sork needed a tank and a healer at the same time. But that still leaves about 99% of the entire quest cleared just by me and Darth Mar and Theron Shan and, all
and
the
whoever,
people. Yeah. So
Asina.
lots of fun. That's definitely one of my favorite things I've done in SWTOR in recent memory.
Wow.
Because the other parts of my recent memory are...
What were the 2 fights that you had to bring him in? Do you remember which ones they were?
So, yes, they were both in Knights of the Eternal Throne. So there's a fight where you are defending an entryway to a Voss temple.
That's in chapter 1, yeah.
Yes. And the waves of ads, there is a wave that includes 2 champions, and then instantly another wave that involves champions and golds. I don't remember the sequence, but golds are nasty on master mode, and champions are boss fights.
Right.
And I really got to the point, and I tried probably 50 pulls, and I tried to do survival horror tactics where, like, I'm going to hide behind pillars and I'm going to run to the next pillar, and I'm just going to cheap shot them and run, cheat shot them and do a cooldown. And I could not do it. And then I just told, I think it was probably Marcus, because he was learning how to tank at the time. I pulled him in and said, you just have to hold aggro, I will kill them. And and so we got through that. And then the next chapter, which I think it's the next chapter where you're on Droman Kos.
Yeah.
I did most of that chapter by myself, but when you go underground into the temple, there's also a pull where you run down a hallway, and there's 3 really powerful dudes in the final room of that temple.
Yeah, it's basically the last fight. Yeah.
Yeah, and I could not do that fight without help.
Yeah, that fight's not like, it's not a cakewalk even in story mode. So yeah, I imagine that gets really brutal.
There was a problem with the AI for the companion could not pull off fast enough what I was trying to get it to do. Is I got it to where I could use my companion to CC one of the 3 and I could CC the other one. But by the time both CCs go off, either me or my companion would be nearly dead.
Ooh.
And because the third one, it activates as soon as that move goes out.
Right.
And this was a long time ago too. This is completing that fight actually made me take some time out from master mode chapters for a long time, because I thought it was going to become like even more difficult than that. I had no idea that that's one of the most difficult parts of the entire story. And I just want to say to BioWare, like, the Walker section, thanks. Like, somehow it's harder than Inferno difficulty in Resident Evil 3, so, good job multiplying
I hated the Walkers on story mode.
The Walker is brutal, especially now in Onslaught. It got way worse.
The gold enemies in those little mobs are so powerful compared to your Walker on Master Mode that you have to walk up to the mob and just aim to kill one of the golds, right? Everything's going to kill you. Then walk all the way back to that mob, kill the other gold, and then the other things are going to kill you. So basically, there is no way to win a fight with those mobs on Master the first time, the second time, the third time you walk up to the mob. You just have to keep doing the walk of shame and not give up. Yeah, you have to die, right? But you have to die
because you run out of healing. The healing things can only be used once still, correct?
You can't heal if you're in combat.
Right, and you can't heal in combat. Yeah, that too.
Right. So what happens is you have to just aim to take one of the big ones down.
Okay.
The rest of them will kill you, and then the mob will be 1 gold shorter. So then you run back. They're going to kill you, but hopefully they're 1 gold shorter. And then eventually they run out of golds, and you can just stomp on everyone, because the silvers collectively don't have the same damage power.
Okay.
So you can stomp on them. It's really disgusting. What kind of you just need to be a bitter and just you have to be in there to break your chains, right? Like You have to have that passion and not give up, because in story mode you'd probably get really disappointed and quit the chapter if you died 27 times in a row on the same mob.
Right.
But I think that once you get that mentality of, it actually is a success if I kill one of them, and then you just get a little farther and a little farther and then a little farther. And then once I got out of the walker and I had my lightning moves, I was like, it's on. Daywin's dead. Like, she does not know what she just put me through.
That's funny.
I do have a question.
Yeah, sure.
How did you beat the Nathema mission on Master Mode? That was my hardest one, believe it. That final boss. It has the morass, where
Oh, inside the it's like the chamber. You're in the chamber, and they have that boss with the morass. Okay.
Okay, I got it. So, I don't know if this relates, but just Master Mode mentality. Make sure you're doing this with a tune where you can select to keep the holocron. In that scene, you will not be killing Valkorion without that holocron. In the final chapter, and so that taps into a lot of people feel very connected to their light side and dark side choices. But I just explained to my chat that this is Master Mode, and I need to make that dark side choice, because anyway. So in that room, is that the boss fight you're talking about, where the enemy comes in?
Yeah, there's after you in their story mode anyway. There's 2 golds, and then there's immediately, I think it's even a champion in this version. And he casts morass, and he's a big ugly biped of some sort. Yeah.
So I actually didn't wipe on that boss. The way that I did it is I would apply my dots. So Lightning Stork has Crushing Darkness and Affliction. And then when I would end up being in an AoE damage area, which if that happens, then I've made a mistake with my running around, right? So you have to do a kind of rotation that keeps you at distance from him. And then when he gets close, you need to use a cooldown. So for me, that would be Stag Barrier and Cloud Mine, Stag Barrier and Unnatural Preservation. Just something to give me a little bit of shield and absorb the damage. And if I'm out of everything, then that's when Force Barrier goes up.
Right.
And then get out of there and get back to the tick damage. And just you have to kind of tap into that mentality of, like the Resident Evil games, where everything is scary. I don't want to be face to face with it. I'm weak and wimpy, and I just need to chip away. Handgun bullets, handgun bullets, handgun bullets. Eventually it dies, and you're not dead.
Yeah, I ran as a guardian, so I had no dots. I figured my strategy was, okay, this is my best geared tank, so I figured I could take the hits a little better, and I use heroic moment, all those kinds of things. And the best I could do was get it down to 8%. But
that's very close.
The hardest part for me was actually moving my companion, the healing companion, so it doesn't get stuck in the morass, and that was just a nightmare. So
right,
yeah.
I'd have to go back and watch the video, because I didn't get stuck there, so my memory is hazy. I got stuck in other places that were so that's the thing, is this game, all the chapters are the same no matter what class you're playing. And some classes are just made for certain fights, and other classes are not made for that, but they're very good in other places.
Right.
And that's the weird thing when we're all playing the same story, the same bosses, the same mechanics, is, you get to a point. I don't know that I would be capable a year from now beating that again with a different class, because Sorcerer is what I've played so much. So you really gotta know everything about your class too. I don't think I know everything about Lightning Stork. And there were times where I had to heal my way through a boss fight too, and let the companion do the damaging, which those moments are not very fun, because your companions are not the best DPS in the world, even at rank 50. So that's what I've done in SWTOR. It's been a really eventful couple weeks. So, Chill, who do we have with us in Twitch chat and for our viewers?
All right. So we've got don't know if this is updated recently, but we've got Commander Root showing. Decion's here, and Marcus is here, of course. Nice to see Marcus again. Arajar's here. Squishy Twitchy, Sin Wolf, 69, and Taloup, and hey everyone. And let's see, what I did this week is I did get my first of the 4 needed Flawless Riposte items from the Jar Jar Joyride, which was awesome. That was the Jar Jar Joyride 2 weeks ago. And it dropped from Karaga himself, so I was very happy for the giant slug to go down. It was the wrist piece, and so I need 3 more because it's a 4-piece set that at least technically it's a 6-piece, but you only need 4-piece for what I need it for. No Flawless Riposte on Kai Zyken last weekend or this weekend, so unfortunate for that. And I wanted more ways to get this difficult set, so this week I've been power leveling another Guardian and another Warrior, and I did a Daredevil on the Jedi side and Thanos on the Warrior side cosplays, and got them both all the way through. They're both 75 really fast. I basically did the class story that gets them to like almost 70, like 68, 69, 70, and then I'm just skipping. Most of the time I do all the story on everyone, but I really wanted to get these particular characters, like through the end of the story, so I could just focus on making them have, get Conquest done and get other things done, so I can go for these set pieces that are not easy to get. They're the ones that you cannot get from the vendor, and they drop. They have a higher chance of dropping from Duxon bosses, but I'm not doing Duxon right now, so I just need a lot of bites at the apple, and eventually I'm sure I'll get it. So, I'm still leveling the same way because I'm on stream, and so I'm not spacebarring anything, and I still got, like, Daredevil was above 71 in like 3 long sessions. Same with Thanos, and they're both 75 now and ready to go, at least as far as Conquest goes. So
nice.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to keep everything exactly the same, like all the same utility points, all the same buttons in the same location, and then I'll have to figure out, okay, am I just gonna just have 4 different sets and just kind of settle for those, or am I gonna try to get one sort of temporary set that I pass along between them? I'm not sure about that yet, but we'll figure out something, and we're just gonna be cranking out the content on these 4 people until we can until we get that set. It's a lot of fun, actually, and I did Dark Side on both of them because I did Light Side the times before. Daredevil Dark Side, obviously that's not really accurate, but I just wanted to see Dark Side instead of Light Side since I'd just done Light Side not very long ago. And boy, it feels really bad. The Guardian Dark Side, if you hit that 3 button, it's like you're just acting like an a-hole to everyone around you.
Yeah, it's not even like
for no gain.
Fun.
Yeah,
it's just like you're just being a jerk to be a jerk.
You're being a jerk to be a jerk. Exactly. You're being an a-hole to everyone. You're making enemies for no gain. Leaving bad feelings all around you. It's like, it really feels awful. There's a few points.
No, you're breaking chains.
Yeah, there's a few points in the story on the Guardian side, or on the Jedi Knight side, where the dark side actually feels like you're doing something dark, and it does feel kind of cool at that point. But for the most part, oh my god, it was so painful. So I've actually flipped into the light side now that I'm done with the class story, because I cannot go through that again for like Osas and whatever and Onslaught. Thanos, since that's the Sith side, dark side all the way, no problems. It feels dark side. There are a few a-hole moments, but for the most part, it actually feels like you're doing something that would make sense for that class. And yeah, lots of fun. Jay got me it's called an Executioner sword, and it basically looks a lot like a one-sided version of that funky two-sided sword that Thanos uses in the last movie. The one that like anyone who knows anything about weaponry would tell you, like, you that weapon can't work. Like it's impossible for
Right.
that weapon to be useful at all in combat because of the way it's designed. Even though he's like massively strong and everything. Anyway, but the Executioner sword looks really cool. Like when it turns on, it glows on both sides, like almost like it's like it has two sides of a lightsaber along it. But it has that sort of wide, flat look that sword has, and it's really cool. It looks really intimidating too. So that's been a lot of fun, and so now I'm probably later today gonna get on and see what we get for Conquest. Make sure everyone gets their Conquest going. Finish the stories on Daredevil and Thanos, and then I'll kind of take it from there. Like do I want to try to do it via war zones or flashpoints? I'm not sure. So we'll figure out exactly how we're going to try to get as many bites at the apple thing. Any box that can drop a set piece is basically what I'm after, and we'll just kind of go from there. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and yeah. So that's our weeks. Let's go to the tip of the week. We did get one from Droid Dreamer, and he wrote in, "Thanks for last episode's discussion on the Immortal Juggernaut defense abilities. My tip of the week is about the Endure Pain defensive cooldown, which grants 30% of your max health, but then takes that health back after 20 seconds. In PvP, you can pop Endure Pain and then pop a Warzone med pack, which grants 35% of your max health. Don't make me do the math, but you can see that the Warzone med pack lets you cheat and keep at least some of the heal from Endure Pain after 20 seconds by increasing your max health before you pop the med pack. Additionally, with the consuming range utility, Endure Pain becomes a cleanse on a 1-minute cooldown, which helps a lot with tanking and mobility in PvP. And that makes a lot of sense. In fact, the utilities that I use, because I do a lot of solo stuff, they tend to be kind of focused around that. If I do decide to do PvP as sort of the main focus of getting the boxes to open, I probably will have to look at utilities like the one that allows Endure Pain to become a cleanse. Doc?
Can I just say something about this? If a Lightning Sork had something like this, Thundering Blast would become unusable for 2 minutes. So enjoy that, Juggernauts. Thanks, BioWare.
Yeah, I'm really happy with I'm really enjoying the specs, and they're a lot of fun. The cooldowns feel very powerful and very useful.
It's a fun class to play.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to at least trying that. Probably in PvP, I'll probably try different things. I'll probably try some flashpoints, I'll try some PvP and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you, Droid Dreamer. And that was the only tip sent in. So by non-random allotment, you are the winner of a Tonfon or M8-3R droid, or now an M2B9 droid code, courtesy of BioWare, and an OotiniCast provided Cartel Market pack from the latest shipment. If you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show. And that'll bring us to the Mind Trap. Doc?
Okay, before I start discussing this one, I want to say thank you to BioWare and the SWTOR Twitter account and Daniel Steed and anyone else who's involved in the social media stuff for our game, because there's something very different about this Mind Trap compared to the other ones. Chill, do you see what that is?
There's a number with a comma in it.
What? Yeah, so I put this question up because the official SWTOR account asked this question on their Twitter feed. Mm-hmm. And I saw that, and I've been thinking about how do I do a lightsaber question, but only 4 options. I've been thinking about this for months.
Right.
Because I got hung up on, I can't do what color because there's too
a million
many colors,
yeah.
right? Blue, green, purple, yellow, and now I'm out of options, and then everyone's going to text me, why'd you forget red? I'd be like, oh. And then, so this question actually made it something I could ask. So I don't even feel bad. I stole the question from SWTOR. So thank you for that.
Right, because they did it as just a question. They just asked it as a question. They didn't do it as a poll. So yeah.
That's right. And I said to myself as soon as I saw it, screw this, I want data. So I made it my poll instantly, and I put the question up for a week, which is also something I don't normally do, but I realized that we have we have 10 days until our next episode. And so what we have is do you prefer simple, meaning single color lightsabers, crystals in your weapons, or the complex multicolor ones? And I've had periods of time where I use both. I've done the black blue, I've done the blue with the white core, I've done the blue with the yellow. So those are just the three off the top of my head. And I actually want to start with our guest, IndianaJoe. Where do you fall on this question in terms of customizing your weapons and the looks that you're aiming for?
Yeah, good question. For me, I like keeping it simple.
Okay.
I usually go with the simple crystals. I'm kind of, a guy that goes traditional. So my Sith characters, they all got red.
Okay.
All my Sith characters have red. I know that's kind of boring. But my favorite lightsaber color, actually, though, is green. So all my Jedi characters have green, and I typically stick with that just because, Luke Skywalker, Return of the Jedi, I like Qui-Gon Jinn and Phantom Menace. So, green is what I usually go.
Do you go for like a straight movie green? Because I actually have an unlocked sea green that I think is gorgeous, and I use that a fair bit on non-cosplay characters.
So there's like desert green.
Oh, hang on, you're quiet.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, just tell us what kind of green.
I usually go with just the regular green. Mm-hmm. I know that desert green is pretty close to what it was in the movies as well too, but I don't know. I just like the regular green. I know it's not quite a match, but yeah, green's just the standard green. The ones that you get at the start. So
nice.
Yeah, and what about you, Chill? Where do you fall on this question?
Right. Well, I'm doing so many cosplay characters recently that I'm really focused on like whatever their weapon looks like, and then I try to make it match that. So for one kind of interesting example recently was the Daredevil character, because he has a baton, and so I wanted to make the lightsaber look as much like a baton as possible. And of course, everyone makes the jokes about the lightsabers being wiffle bats anyway. But I found out that the black-red striated crystal actually makes the blade look very, very solid. And it really, really worked to make it look like a Daredevil baton. It was a lot of fun to make it look like that. Yeah, so the black-red striated. So I'm sure other striated would do similar things, but that worked really well, and I was really happy with the result. On my previous characters, though, and if I was going to answer this, between those two, in terms of non-characters, where I'm just doing something based on how I want, I'm making up a character of my own, usually I will go simple, and a lot of my unlocked color crystals are, in fact, pretty simple. They're either one color or they're two sort of similar colors. Like I have a blue one, but it's like a light blue and a kind of a medium blue together, and it doesn't look very complex, even if it technically is two different colors. So yeah, I usually do like the fairly simple colors as well.
I did once dabble in on light blue. I do like light blue. So, but that didn't last too long. I had to go back to green.
Yeah, you can't cheat on your true color. The crystal chooses the Jedi now.
Right.
Exactly.
I remember back in the day there was like an orange crystal, and I really liked that one for a while. And it was like, because it doesn't really appear like anywhere canonically, really, that I can think of. I mean, it probably appears somewhere in some way, but it's not like a really common one. But it looked really nice, and I really liked using that one for a while. This was like McKeb era or something like that. And that
connects back with KOTOR 2. I remember that game was really cool because it had lightsaber crystals that went far beyond what the movies offered. Whereas KOTOR 1 stuck with movie colors: green, blue, purple, red. Did they have yellow? Yeah, Basila's was yellow, so they had yellow too. Right. Yeah. And then KOTOR 2 added so many different ones that I thought was neat. Orange was one of them, I think. Okay, so for me, I've had periods of time where I've gone and made my lightsaber way too complex, like the crazy executioner lightsaber hilt with the executioner, or with the lightning tuning, and a lightsaber color that like you look at the weapon and it doesn't even look like it belongs in Star Wars anymore.
Right.
And so I've reeled that in now, and I really am just sticking with blue with the white core. And sometimes it's the executioner tuning, sometimes it's just the lightning tuning. And it really feels more like Star Wars to me when I do that. So the votes, actually, it breaks down really interesting. 1,600 people voted on this one.
Right.
And
thank you for the retweet, SWTOR.
Exactly, yeah. So the numbers basically break down as 1,000 people said simple crystals and 600 people said complex crystals. It's not exactly those numbers, but it basically is, yeah.
So 60.9% for simple.
Right. And so the simple crystals do seem to have more popularity, 60 to 40. But that number is still pretty impressive that people are looking for that truly off-the-wall, crazy, customizable Star Wars weapon experience. And, none of us are going to Galaxy's Edge right now, so we might as well build an awesome lightsaber inside Star Wars The Old Republic. And just one more fun note about the Mind Trap. I mentioned that I did SOA twice with the Utini Guild Jar Jar Joyride runs. And the very first Mind Trap that popped up grabbed me. And that was a little bit of a fun moment during our rating this week. So I just thought I'd trail off with that, and let's go about our business and move along. Chill.
All right, that'll bring us to the holo feed. And all right, so yeah, May the Force be with you. We had May the 4th yesterday. It's Revenge of the Sith today. There's some news out there, not a ton, but we can go over what we have, and then we're going to talk a lot about Conquest after that. One thing I did want to mention right at the top is SWTORista's armor site. She's put out quite a bit of, you've probably seen it on social media if you follow her or on her YouTube. But she has an armor site. It's SWTORista.com/armor, and the link will also be in the show notes. And she has high-quality photos and often some videos of all the currently obtainable armor sets in SWTOR, and it really is really well done. She did, the pictures are gorgeous. She did a really good job of making sure that they are close up, highly detailed, well lit, and all of that. And she did not use like the preview button. She actually went out and she has all the characters out in brightly colored areas. So really, really well done. It also tells you, like, is this a cartel market set? Is this a crafted set or whatever? So
I think you can see if there's dyes. You can put like a dye module in there too and see what it looks like with the dye.
Yeah,
I don't know if that.
There's a lot of nice little touches. So I definitely recommend if you like doing the dressing up the character, or you're looking for a particular look or a particular set, or figuring out what a particular set comes from. Check it out, SWTORista.com/armor. There have been other, there's Tor Fashion, there's some other ones, but this one is nice and new, well updated, and like I say, the pictures are really, really well done. They're very high quality, and it makes a big difference. So well done, SWTORista. And yeah, so SWTOR is doing May the 4th celebrations. There is, of course, the double XP that's been going on now for a week, and it'll be going on 7 more weeks, so almost 2 full months of double XP, which is great. And it's we've been talking a lot about double XP, but it is also double Renown and double Valor as well, so you can get additional bonuses that way. There is a login bonus, so if you log in anytime between May 4th and May 10th, then for your entire account you'll get the M4Y9, and people have caught on to it by now. I'm sure M4 is for May the 4th, and then Y9 because this is year 9 of SWTOR. We're getting pretty close to a decade-long game here. But yeah, it's the M4Y9 astromech droid. It's pretty similar to the other ones that you've gotten. This one has some red bits on him. Looks kind of cute, and when he moves around, he makes the little motor noise. It's good stuff. And yeah, you just get it on every character when you log into them. There's also a collection unlock sale. That one's going a little bit less time, though. It started yesterday, May 4th, and it's going until May the 18th. at 7 a.m. Central Time or 12 p.m. UTC. And in that case, all collection unlocks will have a 50% discount. And I have taken advantage of these in the past, and I am planning on looking through my collections this time as well, because there's a lot of times you can, you know, all you need to do is get it on one character. You get the full armor set, or in the case of a weapon, you just get the weapon or whatever, and you can get it for that one character. But if you want to have it on someone else, you either have to find it again, often that's expensive, or you go for the unlock. And this is a great time to do the unlock at a 50% discount. Often I find unlocks are sort of like the best way to do it anyway. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking through my collection to see like what I haven't unlocked that I really, really should. Maybe some emotes this time. Stuff like that. So I like, I've definitely done that in the past, and I'm definitely going to do it this time too. And one other thing that they are doing sort of as a celebration this year, and this is kind of special, is that they are unlocking the music. So they made a YouTube playlist, and it has all of the music from launch to latest expansion, and it is very cool. Now about a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, it's been a while, they did sort of take all the original music from SWTOR at launch, and they put it on like MP3s, and they put it on their site so that you could actually download it to whatever device you were using, and that was great. But you know, time has gone past, and I'm sure a lot of people either didn't know about it or whatever. In my case, like I had it on a phone, and then I've got a new phone, and I haven't transferred it over, so I haven't heard a lot of these for a while. So you can hear all of the original ones, but it also includes all the more recent music, so the OSIS music and the Onslaught music and stuff like that. So good stuff. So you can just go to YouTube and search on SWTOR, and they've got a new YouTube playlist there. There are some new items on their cartel market. I'll put a link in the show notes. It's a little hard, obviously, as a podcast to get exactly across what all of this is. But some highlights that I thought were kind of cool when I looked at them. There's an Exiled Padawan set that I was kind of cool because you can tell they based it partly on some of the early items that you get on Tython, but then they sort of updated them. They added a really cool helmet that obscures the face, but has some of the textures and some of the patterns on it, and that felt to me like a really cool set. Like if I was doing a not a cosplay character, but just a character that I wanted, you know, to make my own, and if you wanted your armor to have like a backstory to it, you know, that's a really good way to do it, because this character clearly like started as a Jedi and then something happened, so that was pretty cool, and I just happen to like how it looks too. There is a Covert Stalker mount, and it's kind of similar to some of the other mounts in the game. I think the Ice Roche Cat, I think it's sort of based on that general design, but has a really cool flourish where like the front has different leaves and it kind of extends out and it comes back in, and then like the rockets in the back are kind of moving too. That was a really cool flourish. I love that one. And there's also the Cyber Agents armor set that has a flourish as well, in a sense, because when you're not in combat versus when you're in combat, there's like this part in front of the helmet that slides open and then slides closed to protect you when you're in combat, but then when you're out of combat, it slides open again. There's some really nice items this time.
Chill. You know how there's always that request for the hood to become pull up and pull down?
Right.
They just need to make sets where in combat the hood's up, and then another set that's exactly the same where in combat the hood is down. And right there, that's like 2 sets, right? So that's like $20 because people will buy both of them. And then they'll unlock both of them in collection. So every single SWTOR player would be spending $30 on Cartel Market if that robe set exists.
Right. And then you just flip between it in your designer.
It gives us 2 costume design slots too, because you'll have that period where it's like I'm hooded when I'm not fighting, and then it's like I'm hooded when I'm
fighting.
See, yeah. I can't even keep it straight. And then you have the regular one where your hood's up the whole time, and then you have your regular one where the hood's down the whole time. So that's 4 costume designer spots. And if they can do it with a helmet for an agent class, they can do it with the lightsaber clashing classes.
Right. It does look, yeah, and they call it the cyber agent. It does look sort of agenty, although it would work well for, with any sort of heavy armor look that you wanted to do. Yeah. Dekyan was saying, I'm looking at SWTOR's new site and wondering what the hell I've been doing in quarantine. Yeah. SWTOR's definitely been taking advantage of the time. And yeah. So 6.1.1a dropped. This dropped on the 28th of April, a few days ago. Not too much to go over here. There were some basically mostly bug fixes. It was like a fix on the GTN so that things order properly. Renown level up banner will not appear. There's a few other little things. The world will no longer be informed about the battery being primed to explode whenever it's fully charged. I love weird stuff like that. The devs have also been doing a lot of small bug acknowledgments, but without like specific dates or patches even as to when they expect them to fix. We're not going to include all of them here. A couple of them did bear mentioning. The story mode uprisings got harder. The enemies are now at level 75. It's not intended. The team has been informed, and there's a conversation about it on the forums. So if you need to know more about it, like up to the minute, that's where you should go. But basically, you should know that right now uprisings are harder than intended, and that they know about it. There you go. There was a ranked season PvP update from Mike Bradley. We can touch on it real quick because he did say a couple of interesting things. Last season versus this season, he says, although we searched for and actioned cheating behavior at roughly the same cadence as prior seasons, he hasn't been posting the reports nearly as often. The majority of cheating behavior we saw last season was aimed at securing top 96 rewards as quickly and easily as possible through a number of different avenues, in an attempt to discourage anyone trying to cheat those rewards, and instead to reward players who played fairly and consistently throughout the season. We added win requirements. We've seen some evidence that this has worked as we'd hoped, but we won't have the full picture until the season is ended. The abusive behavior is often centered around vote kicking. We're discussing a number of different ideas as to how to combat this, including potentially removing vote kicking altogether. We know this is a frustration point, and we're bringing many ideas as we can to the table, and he'll share any further details as soon as they have them. And then he talks a little bit about actions taken. They banned 9 accounts for cheating or hacking. They've locked in an additional 11 accounts from being able to participate in ranked PvP at all. So they are taking actions. But yeah. Finally, he says, oh, go ahead, Doc.
Did you say that they banned 9 accounts?
Mm-hmm.
So our game has like the Nazgul of PvP cheating?
Yes.
I'm listening to you go through this post, and I'm thinking like, these people are all the people that you never let be the banker in Monopoly during your childhood.
Right. Yeah.
It's just disgusting. Like, play a game on your console so that you're only ruining your own life. Okay. Thank you. PvP's great. Keep going, chill. All
right. Let's see. So, and then he kind of ends with, my goal with these reports has always been to increase transparency around our actions in PvP, and I don't know the degree by which they have and have not been effective towards that goal, so I would be curious to hear how frequently or infrequently you would like to hear from me going forward. So it's good that that he is sort of keeping in communication, and Mike Bradley giving some information on the PvP set. There's a couple of bug mentions that I also will mention here. The M4Y9 astromech droid has the wrong name for whatever reason. The M4Y9 astromech droid was so happy to be part of this year's celebration that he completely loses his mind and changes his name. The team has been informed about this behavior. They're aiming to fix it with patch 6.1.2. The other one that's worth mentioning, this one's a little more serious, can't buy coins or add sub time. And what happened was it was mentioned on the last show, there was an issue with people not being able to buy coins, cartel coins, and that had been fixed. However, at the way they had to fix it, apparently they needed to reset some people's EA account passwords. And so if you haven't done that, you wouldn't be able to buy coins or add subtime until you've done that. So Eric, who apparently is in at least some of the time right now, he said that he'd be popping in and out. Said there was an EA-wide maintenance, which is currently causing a number of SWTOR accounts to be unable to purchase CCR subtime. If you're in this state, you will need to reset your EA account password as highlighted here on the AHQ. And they're looking to a broader solution to correct anyone in the state, but that is a workaround in the meantime. And there you go. One sort of general Star Wars news that I thought was interesting, beyond the end of the Clone Wars series, which was excellent. We can talk about that in a minute. Although people obviously have to be worried about spoilers since this is so close to the end. I'm sure not everyone has had a chance to see it yet. But in more general Star Wars news, Taika Waititi, who directed Thor Ragnarok, he also did the finale episode of the first season of The Mandalorian, and he is now been tapped to direct and co-write a new Star Wars feature film for a theatrical release. And Oscar nominee Christy Wilson Cairns will co-write the screenplay with Waititi. So very cool. I happen to be a big fan. Well, I love The Mandalorian for sure, but I also really enjoyed Thor Ragnarok, and should be really interesting. He's got a lot of good movies, under his belt. He's won an Oscar now, so it should be interesting to see what he says. I looked at the Star Wars information, and there's definitely no release date or even release year at this point, but it's definitely going to be at least a couple years out, of course. And could be delayed even more with the coronavirus throwing everything into havoc. Do you guys have any thoughts about this?
IndianaJoe, what do you think?
Yeah, it's good. Believe it or not, it's going to sound crazy, but I'm just starting The Mandalorian this week, so I haven't even watched a single episode. So,
cool.
I'm really much looking forward to that. I've heard great reviews and so I look forward to seeing that. And like I said, Clone Wars, great finish. I at least suggest.
Oh, you got cut off there, but yeah, it was a really good finish. I think my favorite were the second and third from the end. The last episode was very good, but I really liked the Order 66 events specifically. That particular moment was for me was a real highlight. But I did enjoy seeing the last episode as well. I don't want to get any more spoilery than that. But Doctor,
I wonder.
Yeah, I'm kind of afraid to talk spoilers now.
Yeah,
So.
it's so recent. So
yeah, I just wonder how long we're going to have to wait for someone to expertly take the clips from the last 4 episodes and the scenes from Revenge of the Sith and line them up into something that is truly special, because they play off each other so well.
Supercut.
Yeah, because going back even to the first of the 4 episodes, when Ahsoka is engaging in her battle on Mandalore, the music lines up directly to the music that's playing for Anakin and Obi-Wan. And then at the end, when they're trying to rescue the Chancellor, and when the battle dies down for Ahsoka, she has a communication that confirms that Anakin and Obi-Wan are past the rescue of the Chancellor stage in Revenge of the Sith, which means the music was actually telling us where we are in the timeline, which is brilliant storytelling.
Yeah.
And
then they did the same thing with Order 66 as well, and some people put out videos of showing all the different Order 66 deaths in the movies, but then connecting it to the Clone Wars episode as well. And yeah, it's really, really well done. Really well done.
Yeah.
The one thing that I want to say about Taika Waititi getting to do a Star Wars film is I really hope that Lucasfilm is able to create a open, creative space for him to bring his talents into that Star Wars filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you get talented people like that, and there's, we don't know what the movie is, whether it's, a spin-off or establishing a new thing, maybe the High Republic or something like that. There's nothing they're bound to. They ended the Skywalker saga on purpose, and even in their marketing, so that they wouldn't be bound to anything, and except for the galaxy and the Force. So,
which I'm glad for.
Yeah, I think it could be really awesome. They just have to, the Mandalorian and the Clone Wars are both testaments to what happens when you let brilliant people create a Star Wars story, and then you can, I don't get that. I enjoyed, I'm at a point where I can say I enjoy the sequel trilogy, but I'm not going to lie. There are scenes and there's moments in those movies where I feel like I'm more watching a Lucasfilm boardroom meeting that Bob Iger's in attendance instead of watching a Star Wars film, right? It feels like the argument in the boardroom got turned into the scene on the screen. And that's a feeling I'm going to have to work through for the next 5 years or so, to where I can really let that feeling die and just truly on a holistic level enjoy. So I'm enjoying it more in here, but up here I'm still wow, somebody threw their weight around to make that happen. And I don't feel that at all with the Clone Wars. I feel like Dave Filoni got to do everything that he'd ever talked with George Lucas about. And it ended in a way where when we get to talk about it on the podcast show, I can't even express right now in words how happy I am. And I want to respect spoilers.
Filoni's great, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Maybe a couple episodes out when more people have had a chance to see.
Yeah, we need to double back next episode, because that will have given everybody 2 weeks.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And I think that's fair, because if you haven't watched these episodes after 2 weeks, then you really were not sitting there with your Disney Plus account waiting to see the Clone Wars. So not, if I spoil you and you're that kind of person, I feel this bad about it. Not at all. Just, you're listening to OotiniCast. We're talking about Clone Wars next episode. Done.
Okay. That'll bring us to the Force feedback, where we read out your tweets and emails. We do have a couple of them. I'm actually going to read this second one first, because that way the last one will be about Conquest, and then we can roll into the Conquest conversation. So the one from Jason T. Greetings, guys. I'm a bit of a returning player, and by that I mean I pre-ordered, played at launch, got to about level 35, but haven't played in years. With Knights of the Fallen Empire, I came back for a short time. I received a free 60-ish character and played a couple of weeks levels with him. I decided to go with Sith Juggernaut. My main game has mostly been World of Warcraft through the years, playing through every major expansion. However, being a big Star Wars fan, I've been drawn back to SWTOR over and over. So here comes my question. In WoW, I was a pretty hardcore raider, competing for top-level bosses through every expansion, but I think I'm officially done with WoW and switching to SWTOR more permanently. My problem lies in playing my character. Obviously, skipping from level 1 to 65, where I am now, is a little challenging. Understanding rotations as a DPS has been problematic for me, as playing a Death Knight or Warrior in WoW are between 3 and 6 button pushes. I'm a bit overwhelmed by my Sith Warrior. Can you give any advice on good ways to learn to play this character without starting back at level 1? Thanks, guys. I really enjoy the podcast, even though I only understand half of what y'all are talking about. So he's a Sith Juggernaut
that's what
DPS.
We're aiming for.
Yeah. I wish he was. I wish he was a tank, because I've been playing a lot of Juggernaut and Guardian tank, but I have not been playing the DPS specs, unfortunately. Joe, I can't remember. I thought you said were you playing a Juggernaut tank? Well, I think in general we can just say one thing is that makes this question difficult for me is because I have not actually taken a break. This would be if I went back to World of Warcraft, which I haven't played since Makeb era. And I tried to pick something up like that, and there are a lot of buttons in SWTOR. They definitely make it so that it's not like a 3-button rotation for sure. There's not a single spec that's like that in the entire game, and every spec has a lot of cooldowns. I think what I would suggest, because what I do is I'm doing a lot of characters. I do a lot of leveling, and sometimes I haven't played a particular class for a long time. So what I'll do in that case is I will actually look at the abilities, and then like there's the whole utility tree, and I'll try to understand like how they all connect. Just take a few minutes to like understand how all of those different abilities connect, because one ability will lead to another, and that once you see that, it's like, okay, I need to do this before I can do that, and that kind of adds to your rotation. You'll find out how the procs happen, what abilities can then use the procs that have happened, stuff like that, and then it's a question of like knowing like what the longer cooldowns do and working those in as well. I definitely, because I do a lot of solo leveling stuff, I do get a little lazy, but I'm trying more and more over time to make sure that I'm using the cooldowns as well, and not just using the few basic abilities, but actually using the cooldowns, the longer ones, so that I understand like what the big cooldowns do, how powerful they are, and sometimes where they're weak, because I'm like there's some defensive cooldowns in the game that are only good against certain types of abilities. So I would say take some time to make sure that you really understand like how all the passives work together, essentially. But yeah, if you're not willing to go back and like level again from level 1, which, to be honest, probably would have been my suggestion, but clearly not what Jason wants in this case, that's what I would do. So just try to learn what all the passives do, all the abilities do, and how they connect. You might want to look up a guide as well, because a lot of times that will help you in choosing the utilities. And also you'll be able to find out like, oh, these are more PvP oriented versus, and it sounds like you're probably going to go back into to raids and operations. These are the ones that will help me more in an operation sort of setting. So that's probably what I would suggest, is just take some time to research both in game, looking at what all the abilities do, and then look up a guide or two. There's some really good ones out there. Volk is putting out guides all the time. But there's other people as well, and check those out. Do you have any other suggestions, guys?
Yeah, what I'd suggest is I'd start slow. So I would do something that you could do pretty easily by yourself. So 65, do some story, missed chapters and stuff like that. Something pretty easy so you can get used to it. And then slowly, incrementally work your way up to maybe some story flashpoints, to maybe some veteran flashpoints after that. And kind of get used to what works, and because when you're leveling 1 to 65, it's basically the same thing. You're slowly getting used to all the abilities.
Right.
Yeah, I made a video for him where I answered each of these questions directly with my own ideas, and I basically encouraged him to level up a character, especially during double XP.
Right.
Because
it will go fast.
Because the order that they give you the moves is very deliberate. And in the old days, you would unlock those moves around the time where story-wise it becomes appropriate to have that move. But then XP got exploded several expansions ago, and now you have your full move set by the time you leave Nar Shaddaa, and sometimes even Dromund Kaas. So it's really important to give your mind that time to experiment with each move, though, and understand what it does. So I always read the tooltips for my moves. That's really important. If you look up a guide and you understand for your new class what the rotation is, if it's a priority system or if it's just a straight, this is the order of the moves, understanding where those moves are on your bar and moving them to a place that makes sense for that rotation is a really great way to take some shortcuts on what he's asking in this question. So there's a lot of good answers. There's a lot of ways to tackle it, and it depends on the person. But I find that the amount of time you're going to spend being a terrible player at level 75 with all your moves, you could have become a better player just by going through the leveling process and having 75 dopamine bursts as you get these levels, right? Like you're going to be level 9 before you finish answering your mail. So you might as well just go do it and get the moves. Have 5 or 6 moves on your bar and kill some core slugs on Korriban, and it's not that bad. This is not Final Fantasy 14 where you have to drop out of graduate school to level a tune. So
plus
you might as what, Indy? Did we lose you again?
Oh, we are kind of losing you.
Yeah, going in and out. So I mean, SWTOR's leveling is actually quite fun and fulfilling, and it's so quick. You play for 75 minutes and you're probably level 40. So just
right.
Look at it as an investment in your character and use those cartel coins on something else besides the boost. But Jason, have fun, right? That's all it comes down to is, you want to learn the class and get yourself into the content you enjoy and learn what the moves do and just see how they link, see what starts to glow on the bar and why it's glowing, and just have fun.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good story in the Warrior. I mean, I've seen it twice, and I was very happy to see it the second time. You have the only class that gets to make a choice that permanently alters one of your companions, for instance, which is pretty cool. And but there's also and there's a lot more to it too. So yeah, I think let's get to Droid Dreamer's question, and this will also first of all, Indy, let's make sure that you're back okay.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we got you.
Good.
All right.
Perfect
good.
timing.
But before you get into that question, I will mention that each time you beat a Conquest objective, that also gives you experience. So now there's even more experience to be had. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. You get renown points as well for beating any Conquest objective. So
yeah. The amount of
quite nice.
Right, Doc. When I was leveling it, like the XP, I've done like during double XP events, I've done double XP with an XP boost on my bar and the XP gear, and that was super fast. And now it's like turbocharged by the fact that you're also getting Conquest stuff all the time. It's crazy. It's like insane.
So what would happen if I wore my Dark vs. Light armor and used a boost?
Well, how
would I be like level 30 before the end of the starting planet?
It depends on what you do, but all I did was basically the class story. I think I did like 2 other missions along the way. I did like the one on the fleet, and I did the one that breadcrumbs you to the trainer, and I think that's it. I think that's literally it. Everything else was just the class story, and and at the end of the class story, I was like level 68 on one character and like 69 on the other character. Just class story. Wow. No world arcs, no side missions. No flashpoints, no war zones, no nothing. Just class story. It was crazy.
Okay.
It's insane.
Well, my next morning stream, I'm going to create a tune, and I'm going to see what happens when I put my full effort into power leveling. And I'm going to demonstrate my approach to learning a new class that I just shared with Jason T. And I really hope people come by and see it, because I'm actually giddy. I can't wait to see what happens with this Conquest experience. Like, I'm going to give companion gifts to people and sell trash, and it's going to be awesome.
Yep. That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
All right, so since we're moving into Conquest, Droid Dreamer has a question related. I have a question about the mechanics of clicking on Conquest. It seems that some Conquest tasks require you to click on them for the activity to count, but others, like Socialite, seem to trigger and track on their own. Is there some pattern I'm missing for when you have to manually click on a line item to get it to trigger before you do the activity? Also, I like the new Conquest changes, but from a UI perspective, it's harder to scan the list for specific items like Warzone-related Conquest goals because the icons are larger and you have to scroll more to see the whole list. Interesting point about that one. I mean, they are pretty big on that list now, but at least they're easy to read, which I am appreciating more and more as my eyes get crappier and crappier. But are there, in fact, items that you actually have to click on in Conquest before you complete them?
Right. Well, for example, they made the bonus series now repeatable each week. It used to be if you beat the bonus series, you can no longer do it again.
Mm-hmm.
But so if you're doing the bonus series for a second time, you have to click on Grant Mission to access it. So
Okay.
that's an example of you have for all the bonus series ones, you got to click on that. Sometimes the weeklies, it depends. For me, all I've seen that you really got to click on for it to trigger is the bonus series.
Good.
Quest lines.
I was gonna say because I've been getting conquest points left and right, and it always seems to just auto trigger based on just whatever I happen to be doing. So it's good to know that this is a rarity. This is just like practically a one-off.
Right,
So,
right.
Good.
And to basically answer that second question too, what you can do is there's a little menu option when you click on your conquest, and it says sort by, and the standard default is by points. You can also change it to name. So by doing that, you can just scroll down all the way to the bottom where war zones are at and see all the war zone objectives that you can do for that week. So that makes it a little bit easier to kind of organize what you want to do.
Right, and there are other options as well that I've noticed, like completed and type as well. I'm sure type and alphabetical are going to be pretty similar because they do tend to put the category right at the beginning. Although there's a few oddball ones that probably are going to show up in different spots.
Right.
So what are some of the things you're going to tell us about Conquest? Like I remember before the show, you're saying you hadn't known about the stronghold bonuses.
Right. Yeah. So when I started last week, I didn't even know stronghold, or 2 weeks ago, I should say. I didn't know stronghold bonuses even existed. So I just, I'm doing all the conquest objectives every single day. I'm doing every single one on the list, which, by the way, takes about 8 hours to do. So it's like I do not suggest doing this if you unless you have a ton of time on your hands.
Right.
Although
if any time that might be appropriate, it might be this time in history. But yes, point taken.
Yeah.
And so you're doing this with like almost no stronghold bonus? Oh, hang on. We
think the sound
we
went
need you
out
back.
again.
Yep.
Hello?
There you are.
Yeah, sorry. So at the end of the week, this is a Monday, so this is right the day before all of it's going to be done with. I learned that
we will never know.
Did you lose me again?
Yeah, you're a master of suspense.
Well, what did you learn?
We seem to be having audio problems.
Hello?
There we are.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What if I'll turn off push to talk, so
That's fine. You're going to be talking for a good part of this anyway, so go for it.
can you hear me now?
Yes. Yep. And
okay.
You were just starting to talk about the stronghold bonus.
Right. So the stronghold bonus will give you bonus conquest points. And basically how you get the stronghold bonus is anytime you unlock a new part of your stronghold, you get an increased stronghold bonus. Or when you buy a new stronghold, you will get another chunk added to your bonus. And it gets capped off at 150%.
Right.
So I got 3 million conquest points at 22% when you could get all the way up to 150%. So it's like, oh man, at the end of the week, I'm like, are you kidding me? I just did all of that and I could have had, double or triple whatever I got,
Right.
So, it was frustrating, but it's something, if you have money, because obviously strongholds can be quite expensive to upgrade.
Yeah.
If you have money, I would highly suggest, even if you're not into strongholds. I'm not into strongholds, to be honest with you. Just buy the cheapest unlocks you can get. That starts with the Coruscant and the Drummond Koss strongholds. Those are the cheapest ones to upgrade. Then I'd suggest just buying strongholds. They're not, super cheap. They're like 2.5 million each, depending on the one you get. The Alderaan one's like 4 million. It's pretty expensive, but I highly suggest just getting the strongholds because then you can clear your conquest even faster and I was able to get my 50,000 points this week in 4 minutes. And yeah, I could have done it faster if I had all my companions at like 50, because then the crafting goes faster and all that. So highly suggest you do get the stronghold bonus. That is something I had no clue about, and I'm dreading that I went through all that work without knowing that the stronghold bonus exists. So but I told my guild that in a couple of weeks I'm going to try it again, because right now, because unfortunately the COVID-19 situation, I'm waiting for my work to start up again. So I have extra time on my hands, and
Nice.
So I've been just like grinding Conquest, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I like the new system.
Oh, good.
But the thing is, I got it now down to a way where every time I go to a planet, I know exactly which quest I'm going to take, and I know exactly where to farm the individual mobs that go down the fastest. So I can just get on that planet, do the quest as fast as I can, kill the enemies as fast as I can, and then move on to the next one.
Right. And it sounds like you're mostly focusing on getting large amounts of conquest on one character, as opposed to completing conquests on like tons and tons of characters.
Yeah, last week I was able to get at least 50,000 on most of my characters, because I didn't take it as seriously as I did the other week before. But the 2 weeks before, that was all about just doing one character, and I went through all the weeklies. I did all the crafting. I did Socialite 1 and 2, Invasion Force, you name it. I did it. And even Starfighter. I hate Starfighter, to be honest with you. And I even did Starfighter. So yeah, it was rough. But it was fun. I guess the good news about all this is, like, now I know which ones are really quick and which ones are not. For example, if you're looking for quick conquest points, I would not do the newer planets. So I wouldn't do Osis. I wouldn't do Mekshah. I wouldn't do Onderon's decently fast the weekly, but those, because the enemies on those planets have more health and they do more damage, whereas the enemies on the planets from 1 through 50.
Right.
You can, if you're 75 and decently geared, you can just stomp right
wade
through them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really fast. I mean, even on Tatooine. Now, this is Republic side. I don't know about Imperial side. Tatooine, there's heroic called Pirate Bullies, and what I do is, first of all, here's one good tip. Set your server. Now, I have no idea about your guys' server, but I play on, what server do I play on? I forget I don't even remember what server I play. Starforge. There's no world PvP at all. So I set my server to PvP, so I'm basically the only one in that phase, whereas so I can have all the enemies in one area just to myself. So I can just quickly go through it, knock it out. Do the heroic, the pirate bullies, which requires you to kill only one boss. That's really easy to kill, and then you're done.
Right.
So it's like
I do that regularly. In fact, it was a tip of the week that I actually did like 3 months ago or something like that, and I stand by it. Yeah. For example, I've been leveling these two characters, power leveling them, and as soon as I get to Nar Shaddaa, which is pretty much the first planet that you have like both sides, I just swap it over to PvP and I just leave it there. And I did not get attacked one time on either character the whole time.
It's great.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for any respawns or anything like that.
Every mission where you got to click something and they're all there.
Yeah, it's nice.
Gotta be careful though, because if we keep making this sound like a good idea, it's going to be 45,000 conquest points to kill someone in PvP world instance.
Oh, man. So just ignore everything you just heard, and be sure to play on a PvE server. And, so, yeah, it's fun. I mean, I've enjoyed it, and I want to start doing an Imperial character because I want to see like which way's the fastest for the Imperial side too. Because
Cool.
Republic's been I don't even like it's so crazy now. I don't even like think. As soon as I get on the planet, I know exactly where I'm going. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I just do it in 10 minutes and on to the next. So yeah, it's like a checklist. But yeah, it's been fun, and I'm liking the new changes. The one thing I liked about the old system is like each week you'd have to do something specific. Like you'd have to maybe do the event or something like that. Whereas now you can kind of just, do whatever you want. So, but yeah, I'm liking the new system.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they're actually doing little things like selling the trash is that was never a thing before. They've added some other kind of unusual ones too, like you saying the augment change. So you swap out an augment, and all of a sudden, boom, you've got some conquest points.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
one thing I'd suggest too that's really fast is going to the starting planets and killing the enemies there, because they're all one shots. So you could just go there, and their respawn timers are far faster than anything else. So just go to the starting planets.
Right.
You see an enemy, you tag them, and you'll get it done real fast and get a bunch of conquest points, as well as beating the missions. So
that's neat. I've never thought about that. It's a good tip.
It's real fast. And another thing I like to do, I like to call it like 2 for 1. And so it's like I'll do a space mission at the start of the day, and that'll count as conquest points. And on top of that, in every space mission, there's a bonus mission. So essentially, you're getting 2 for 1. You'll get your space mission done, and then you'll get your bonus mission done.
Right.
And that'll count as 2 for 1.
The Unreal space missions, like people forget about them, but they're still in the game. They're actually, I've always enjoyed them, even though I haven't done them for a while. And yeah, they do. In fact, most of them will have sort of an obvious bonus, and there's often like a second one that's kind of harder to get. But yeah, it's almost always easy to get at least one bonus out of each of those.
And it doesn't matter what level you are or what level your ship's armor is. You could do a level 1 mission, and it will count just the same as a grade 7 mission.
Right.
So I just do a quick level 1 mission, and I get it done in 3 minutes, and there you go. You got bonus point conquest, and you got a space mission conquest as well. So
excellent.
And as far as like the heroics go, you could go. You could do like Coruscant or Drum and Cost ones, because those are real fast, and that'll count as your heroic mission too. So if you want to just do a quick heroic, you could just go to Coruscant and do one of the 4, or Drum and Cost and do, I think it's 6 or 7 of them. So you could just do one of the fast ones, and there you go, quick conquest points. So yeah. So after after a few days of doing it, I kind of figured out the system, and like I knew how to like reduce the time considerably. So
right. So you're saying like hit the heroics, but doing them on early planets.
Because the enemies die quickly.
Right, and then use the early planets for daily missions as well. What are some of the others that you do on a regular basis?
See, if I'm not no lifing it, right, I will do like just the 1 through 50 stuff is always going to be faster. That's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
I usually
it's not balanced around you having like level 75 gear, really. I mean, You're being ranked down, but you've got all the passives from you've got all your utility points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's not. Yeah, you're supposed to not be that good. So if you're level 75, I highly suggest, if you're just looking for some quick conquest points, I'd aim at the early level stuff first, because that's where you're gonna get your quick points in. After that, I would say sell your trash. Even if you're not into crafting, pick up some crafting. It's super cheap. Even if you're not making anything that you're gonna use, you're gonna get conquest points for 5 missions. So just, do something like that, or, giving your companions companion gifts. That'll give you...
That's a daily one, too. It's really nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I did notice, though, a lot of those, like the gift giving and the one for the the decorations, stuff like that, they are once a day, but it's for your whole legacy. Like, I know if I do it, if I give a gift on my banking alt first thing to get her leveled up, because I'm slowly enjoying doing that. But then if I give a gift on one of the, like, my main characters, nothing, you know. It only counts once a day. So there is that is a kind of a change, because like the legacy seemed to be very like separated between all your characters before, and now there's some stuff that is sort of legacy wide. Like you do it once and you're done on the legacy for that day.
Mm-hmm. The daily repeatables you can do on any character at any time, but every other objective is legacy bound for that day. So if you do something one day, you're going to have to wait till the next day to do it again on a different character. So I'd also keep that in mind for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So right. So that makes sense. So if it's repeatable, anyone can do it. But if it's a daily, that's legacy now. That's not just per character like it used to be. Because it used to be like, you know, you could do if one of the ones for that week was heroic, you could jump on every character and do a heroic on every character, stuff like that. Yeah.
I also will mention that beating a chapter gives a big chunk of conquest points. So usually I just run chapter 1 on
Coffee.
Yeah.
Just you spacebar and it's pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah, spacebar, it blasts through it, maybe 10 minutes if that. So and there's a big chunk of points right there too. So that's another suggestion I'd give, is just do the chapter real fast and you know you'll get a big chunk.
Excellent. Anything else?
Not much. Yeah, just, you know, focus on early planets first if you're just trying to get conquest points. If you're no life in it, then you can follow me on Twitter and send me some questions, and I'll be sure to answer them. So I'll post my Twitter is Beckman24Joe, and if you have any questions about no lifing it and going crazy, then feel free to send me any questions you have. But because we'd be here all day if I gave all, you know, everything. So, and obviously we don't want to do that. So, but yeah, I would just focus on early planets first. Be sure you kill 75 because you'll get 25 for the part 1 of killing and then 50 for the part 2. So just kill your, you know, go to the early spots. That's another thing, the early spots. So like go to the first spot you go to when you reach that planet. The first, you know, don't go like to the ending area where, you know, for example, Corellia, you don't want to go to the spot where they're level 50s. You want to go to the spot where they're level 47s because they just die much faster. So that's another tip I'd suggest. But yeah, that pretty much covers it. I like the new system because it gives me a reason to like play a little more. That's basically what I like.
Yeah, it's that frequent positive reinforcement. It makes you feel like you are accomplishing things. And a lot of the goals I've found have been nice because I can still get some conquest points even when I'm doing a nightmare op and we're progging and I'm not really killing any enemies. They're just killing me every 6 minutes. So I can craft low level items. I can get some companion gifts in my inventory that I can spend at the end of the night once I get my companion back. And it's been nice. Like I feel like I can still participate in Conquest even when I'm doing the goals that I'm more known for.
Right. And yeah, it just I like it because, you know, again, you can pretty much do anything and you're getting points. And you're mentioning like that dopamine rush. Every single time that thing goes up, I'm like, ooh, nice. You know, so
excellent.
It's fun.
All right, then. That's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Satil Shan server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel, then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly on Tuesdays at noon Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby, and thank you to the chat room, and thank you, IndianaJoe.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great to have you. And
Absolutely.
we'll see you. Yep, and we'll see you next show.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Thanks for coming, everyone. We're going to stop the stream and the recording, and I will do my editing, and we'll get out the podcast tomorrow as usual. And thanks for coming.